So I thought,
Yeah, it'll do it automatically, but
I don't know.
I just started.
Why would you have a timer and a go live button? That doesn't make any sense.
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
All right, I think we're live now.
alright.
Yeah, we are.
Democracy, the gods have failed.
All right. Got 3 watching right now. Yo, what's up, Praxeological Methodist?
What
All
up?
right. Got 3 watching right now.
Satanism.
Yo, what's up, Praxeological Methodist?
Hey,
Wait, why can I?
Louis, Onion, Noah, Keck is here.
Yo, what's up, Praxeological? I can hear myself. I don't know why.
I forgot to mute the stream from my own.
Oh, I was about to say. Oh, Slater's in the waiting room. Let me add him. There we go.
Go.
Hey, later.
One second, I'm just gonna find it.
Hey,
Hey.
mamas.
Alright.
No, I'm not white. I'm ethnically ambiguous, just like Slater. Well, Slater's black,
True.
but
I'm not even.
Actually, I transcend race. 'Cause I'm monkey.
yeah, we transcend the social construct that is race.
Yo,
Kek, you're not even white.
Slater, how are you a theist and not religious? Can you explain? Well, I'm an
Don't mind me.
egoist, so that takes me away from most religions.
Are you?
I am. I don't know. I don't like tradition that much, like most religious traditions. I'm sure I can
What did
find
you-
value in.
Wait,
a lot
what
of
did you
religions.
say, Slater? I'm sorry. You're a what?
You said, "How are you a theist and not religious?" I don't know. It's just I rather have a more individual relationship with God than one that's been told. Like, I don't want other people telling me how to have my relationship. To be absolute.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd follow
Thank you.
atheist, but not religious as well, but just in the
Matters.
sense that I believe that religion is pretty abstract of what the true nature of God really is, and there's no way to specifically determine which one should be classified over another without any pretext to historical experience, which I don't think accurately reflects.
Quantum, you're gonna have to speak louder or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear you.
Really quiet.
Here, is there a way we can turn you up? Let's see.
I don't think so.
Edit mic settings, mic volume.
Wasn't that just
all right,
weird?
I've got. All right. Talk now.
Yo.
Yeah, I didn't really do much. I mean, you're a little louder. What's up, Jessica?
Oh, 12 people.
What is that picture, bro?
Who let Scotsman on? I don't know.
Who let us Scots?
Craig,
Slater is
Craig,
on
you've
God.
got some
Yeah,
haters.
God is all mine.
Oh.
So they let me on.
Epic.
I don't know how you can hate me though.
I love you too, Jessica.
Damn, Texas, that's tough.
Yo, we
Epic.
what are you trying to
Yo,
imply,
stop
Texas?
shooting with.
I incorporated, bro.
You're my
you know?
You're my biggest fan. Oh, thank you.
It's like California.
Bro, for real, who let Glyph in here?
Yeah, that's true.
Yo, big facts, Glyph.
I'm gonna
Get
head
out of
out,
here, dog.
boys. I'm gonna head out.
Get out of here,
Thank
bro.
God.
You don't even live in America, dog. You're irrelevant. You know that.
Oh my
right?
god.
Don't know, ask. Do you know a lot of econ?
If I know a lot of econ,
God, bro.
oh dude, I'm the
Oh,
econ
Slater's
god.
the econ god.
For real.
Do you not see fucking Slater?
That's an abortion.
Guys, add me back at your white. I don't know. I don't like whiteys.
Monkey, there we go. Dude, just
Simps
be
for
quiet.
Zane. I don't have any
We have
simps.
4 simps for Zane in this call right
Well,
now.
except Slater. Slater's my only simp. Thoughts on abortion? I think. So me personally, I mean, not that I like. It's not like a topic I'm like really super interested in. I've always thought like the abortion debate is like one of the most like boring debates out there. But for now, I'm an evictionist.
Saying no uterus, no opinion.
How do you know I don't have
My
one?
my view is I
Oh,
don't
shit,
care
bro,
enough
that's
to have
my
an opinion.
For now, I'm an evictionist, but actually, I've thought about evictionism leads to some weird, like it's the most logically consistent. Sorry, however, it can lead to some weird conclusions when it's taken to its like fullest extent.
Debate Craig. Debate Craig. Debate.
What?
Slater, how do you see with hair?
You want to see what? My hair?
How do you see with that hair? Someone asked.
Oh,
Thoughts on
I
the
don't. I just wanna
philosophical
do it.
thoughts on the philosophical
Sometimes it does get
concept of
annoying.
personhood. Slater,
Joey Potter, he lacks personhood, right?
thoughts on
Right,
personhood.
I don't know. I actually think that's probably.
Okay, who wants to
Reagan doesn't
narrate?
believe, but I'm going back and forth with him.
Tony, bro.
I mean, I believe life begins at conception,
Someone get
but
Baker
I
in
mean,
here?
I don't really think that. I don't know
I'm
what
Tony.
like the stipulations for like personhood would be, but I think that
Scott-
I mean,
I didn't get a fucking perm. Whoever keeps saying that. I just grew
yeah,
my
you
hair
did.
out and it's
Yes, you
curly.
did.
No, how could I get a perm? I can't leave my. That's
Perm
why I didn't
Slater,
get a
perm
perm.
Slater.
Scott can't join.
Oh, thank God. Oh, do we have
Anti-Scott remarks, bro.
Scott fan page.
Hey, yo, Slater, you got a hater.
I love
Slater
you, Slater,
hater.
not this European though.
Slater, you got a perm.
Damn, bro.
Y'all are ruthless,
Slater,
bro.
I reveal someday maybe.
Yo,
Okay.
let's get Slater on the
we have
main screen.
more-
Look
we
at
have
this.
more
Look at this.
non-
dude.
Americans.
chill.
Yo, what's up,
Making me so
Onion?
conscious.
Oh, it's insane. That's mad, bro.
Huh?
Yo,
Fucking mad.
chat. What do you want to?
Yeah, yo, Slater, what do you think about this?
Yo, chat. What do you
Slater,
want to
I-
talk about?
Someone got the Scott. in here.
I don't think
Reagan doesn't debate because he has a stutter, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. If you're wanting like any sort of recourse with Reagan, just go to my page. I've been going back and forth with him.
Glyph. I just saw your picture
Yeah,
of
but-
your hand, your whole hand over the virtue of selfishness.
Bro, it's so tiny, dude.
Dude, it's actually really small.
Slater, someone's asking
Even
for
my
cringe
hand goes over.
activism.
Exactly, dude. It's so tiny.
Yeah, I just had a hand.
Oh,
reveal.
Slater, they want to hear your critiques to objectivism.
They do.
Yeah, Look.
Okay.
I mean, God.
Well, like a negative critique or like a positive critique? Because I can do a lot of positive critiques.
Jeez, bro.
Just give like a
Like the one that like Cudwy and I argued over.
sure.
That's really easy. Okay, so
go
basically, oh, thank you. I have a great smile. So what Rand does when she talks, so the contradiction is in her ontology regarding the consciousness and the self, and what entities and attributes are, and where consciousness and the self fall in these categories. So she says that consciousness is an attribute of man. But she also talks about consciousness acting and possessing attributes. For example, she says that volition is an attribute of consciousness, and that consciousness perceives, so that's an action. But she defines entities in a way that only entities act, so attributes can't act, and only entities have attributes, so attributes can't have attributes. But this is contradictory. She says consciousness is an attribute of man, but that consciousness acts and has attributes, but that's something that only an entity can have. And she also says that entities and attributes are mutually exclusive. You can't have something that is an attribute and also an entity. So there's a contradiction there. And it goes even further when you talk about the self, because she says that the self is man's consciousness, man's mind, man's ego, man's spirit. She uses all these interchangeably. So she says that's, I'm a Christian, that doesn't exist.
Nah, that's fake.
So she says that man's consciousness is a self, man's mind is a self. But if she holds that man's consciousness is an attribute, then what is it an attribute of? The self? Your consciousness is an attribute of you, presumably. But she says the self is consciousness. So the self, you, must be an attribute. But what would that be an attribute of? So you have a vicious regress there. So Rand's, her ontology is completely fallacious. You have like even simple critiques, like she says that only entities are related. Relations are relations among entities, but obviously, I mean, the redness of an apple is related to the apple itself, red being an attribute and not an entity. Obviously, the attribute is related to the entity in the sense that it is an attribute of the entity. That's a relation, and there's a relation among difference there. There's a lot of things you can deep brain on. Her ethics, like she makes this jump from like life being the standard of value to life being the ultimate value, life being prerequisite for value to life being the standard for value that she doesn't justify. I mean, there's a lot of positive arguments I can do too, like just realism in general. What's the painting behind me? Oh, this is my brother's. It was his room before it was mine. I think it's called like the Great Wave or something. But more importantly, we got the gangster, the god, the goat.
Yeah, I gotta chill with the anti-Craig remarks, bro.
Yeah, what is with the anti me? Like, what did I ever do to you guys? I'm used to everyone loving me. What the fuck is going on? Yeah. No.
Wait,
no,
seems like you calm down.
no, I can't stop being Scottish. Unfortunately, that's not something what my capacity to do.
Oh, Onion. So,
Hey, guys. At least Craig isn't British.
True.
hey, there are some cool British people from a few centuries
Well,
ago.
that's cow. Damn.
Nah.
Not now, really.
It's a contradiction in terms.
Hey, you're basically British, dude.
No, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. No.
You're like British light.
He's not.
No. That shit is that's a fucking insult to my very being. Never, ever fucking shit.
Craig is ontologically British, bro.
Onion. Objectivism is Rand calls objectivism a closed system. So objectivism is the word of Ayn Rand. And Ayn Rand believed that didn't believe in anything supernatural, or she didn't believe in God. So if you believe in God, you can't be an objectivist. You can like Rand and a lot of her ideas, you just can't be an objectivist because you have to agree with everything Rand said philosophically to be an objectivist.
Infinite regress to what argument, or to what claim?
You asking me?
No, it's just someone
Oh.
asking what's the refutation to the infinite regression.
I'm assuming they're probably talking about self-ownership.
Yeah.
So it assumes an asymmetric relationship between object and subject, right? Which would involve a superior and a subordinate position.
Bro, Glyph, do you want to debate me on self-ownership in front of everyone now? Because I'm so tempted to do that.
I'm not. No. I'm not.
What is the subject that we're talking about? What is the object? The body?
No, well, obviously, right? Ownership.
And the self is the subject?
Listen. So, what the critic usually assumes is an objectional mind-body dualism, right? And I haven't really heard no, shut up. All right, this is the dualist argument. The infinite regress is dualist, all right?
I saw your video on this, but I'm not the guy that you made the video about.
No, I'm not, Slater.
Define ownership?
All right, ownership is the exclusive right to control.
Let's get hands
Exclusive.
to
Oh,
debate
okay.
self-ownership.
So you need a right to own something. That's what you're saying?
Well, actually, not exclusive right, but ownership is just exclusive control over.
Exclusive control. So you can own something without having a right to own it, is what you're saying? What?
I didn't say that, Slater.
Well, if it's just exclusive control.
I just defined what ownership was.
But if it's just exclusive control, that's the only standard for ownership, then you can own something without having a right to own it, right?
You have a right to own something intrinsically. I guess you could say that sort of format that any sort of
Okay, so
unless you were to provide an externality that would stop ownership, you would intrinsically or naturally have the right to own.
but I'm trying to make the distinction. Okay, how?
I'm not gonna.
If Craig, we could just have a discussion about it. We have a debate about it. But what I'm getting at is I would define ownership as a right to control or a right to possess, not just exclusive control. Obviously, you can present many situations where somebody has exclusive control over something, but we wouldn't say they own it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to go put up the Christmas tree.
I love Christmas so much. Well, you guys want to listen to Christmas music?
hate
Okay,
Christmas
Zane.
music
So
and Christmas.
I thought we were friends, right? But then you made that comment, so that's gonna be a problem.
I really don't like
All right,
Christmas.
it's later. It's
Yo,
later.
Voluntaryist Haven
Well, okay, so
OnlyFans?
just let you guys know this. My hair isn't greasy. It's just the light is shining right on. I literally washed my hair today.
Zane, they're asking you.
Just want to get that out there.
No. It's
They're
later.
asking you
I'll
to make an
go
OnlyFans.
Yo, I was actually thinking about making an OnlyFans. Like no cap.
Yo, who would pay for Zane's
Oh, gosh,
OnlyFans?
Hey Jessica. Yes, who would pay for my OnlyFans? I'll come and flex on you guys.
I know I would.
Another time.
You know you
later.
could pull.
You know, no, I was thinking about doing an OnlyFans, and all it'll be is just me reading. It'll be like 5 minute or like 5-10 minute clips of just me sitting there, like ASMR, like real close to my. The Fitness Gram Pacer Test is a multi-stage aerobic exercise. It gets progressively harder as time goes on.
Why are these motherfuckers asking me my thoughts on rugby? I don't know, bro. I don't watch rugby.
Oh, Dan's here. Dan's very cool.
What's up,
Watches
Dan?
Football. Greg's a football watcher.
Dude, Onion. Dude,
love
Onion's
Dan.
so dumb, dude. I hate Onion. I think if you're the kind of person that says I like all music except for country, you might be my least favorite.
I was about to say that is like the only type of person I cannot stand is somebody who says I like all people. I like all music except for country.
I like all
I
people.
would agree, apart from the fact that Slater said it, and his music taste is absolutely so horrific.
Dude, it's actually so much better than yours because you listen to Eminem and Joyner Lucas and NF, like good and not corny, and some like a phase show went through when you were 10. It's not good.
Yeah, okay. No, you're a classical music.
All right,
Craig's-
all right, we're gonna go through a list. All right, we're gonna go through a list. Does anybody have any questions for Craig specifically?
You're saying.
Oh god, why are you putting me up to
Well,
this?
somebody asked Alex a question. Pan asked
Somebody
Alex
asked-
if he was a duelist.
My favorite sport. My
fucking
favorite sport's football. No, I don't watch rugby.
Do you watch rugby, Craig?
Why do you all keep asking me that?
Why won't you debate then, Craig?
I'll debate
I have
it.
questions for Zane, though.
I'm not bothered.
Oh,
Bro, I'm
you,
debating things.
what are your
Oh,
questions
yeah.
for me?
Me? Why are you putting me on full screen?
I meant to put me up. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
god.
What is your questions for me?
Why do I believe in argumentation ethics?
American football is so much better than dude. Soccer sucks. I don't know, Alex. I know
No,
you watch
yeah.
it, right? Because you're a loser.
Oh, you're dumb, Slater. Shut up.
Yeah, of course, the foreign guy chimes in when soccer's mentioned.
Oh, you're dumb, Slater. Shut up.
Yeah, actually.
I'm already debating somebody on theism, so
Oh, you're wrong.
I have like.
Craig. Pan asked, why do you...
When am
do
I
any
debating
push-ups?
Ostropunk?
Uh,
I debated
Oh,
Ultra
wait,
I actually
is-
beat
wait,
him.
Is I think Jessica is Scott fan page.
Really?
I think
no
so.
way.
Anyways, so how many
I wouldn't
tattoos
be
do I have?
surprised.
I have 6 right now. When am I debating Ostropunk? Probably not for a while. Me and Swift are preparing though.
Wait, really? Is Swift gonna debate Michael?
No. So it's gonna be Team Swift versus Team Michael. So it's gonna be me and somebody versus 2 other like full reserve or fractional reservists coached by Michael.
Oh, okay. That sounds really interesting. Yo, Alex?
Craig, Pan is asking why you believe in argumentation ethics. It's
Jessica
because
is
it's literally
Jess.
good, same right shit.
Wait. Oh, like British Jess?
Wait, what?
Oh,
Probably.
Jess, why are you simping for me? Stop simping. You're a child.
Wait, this fan page is also
What is
child.
Alex?
At least to you.
Zane, why didn't you answer me? I did. You said when. Zane, when are you debating Ostropunk? I said I don't know. We don't have anything like set up or anything.
Not British Jess.
Wow.
Oh,
There's another Jess?
I guess so. Okay, Craig. Argumentation ethics. Why do you believe in them?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, it's depending on like what Like, what do you mean why? It's just a little broad. Like, narrow a bit to where you want me to justify it. Because, like, generally, I think it holds as a sort of implicit recognition, but narrow enough to justify it.
Daniel asked if Hoppa conflates liberty rights and claim rights to Alex. Is that a meme or something?
Yes.
I don't know politics memes.
Yeah, it is.
Why don't I debate? I do debate.
Slater, become Jewish.
You're based.
But to answer the question,
You're
a
scientist Slater, bro.
a liberty right would simply fall as an analytic deduction to ownership itself. So to have a liberty right to something, you would just classify it as a prerequisite of ownership.
Okay, Texas Capitalist asked what my favorite financial books are. So here's just some. I grabbed some. So there's The Millionaire Mind. This one's really good on The Millionaire Mind, by the way, by Thomas J. Stanley. The Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investment by Gary Eldred. Looks like that. Rich Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And
my
then
friend recommended me that last year in the AP Human class.
The Millionaire Next Door, which is
Damn.
also by Thomas J. Stanley. So The Millionaire Mind and The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. Rich Dad Poor Dad and then Rich Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant are by Kiyosaki. And this one's really good for real estate investment by Gary Eldred.
Guys, isn't capitalism just so amazing? It's actually insane.
No, I hate capitalism.
Shut up, nerd.
Okay.
Slater, why are you emo? I'm not emo. I'm not emo.
Craig, Pan said your mic is quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, he said you can't hear.
I was going to debate Alex and minarchism. I'll do it whenever. I'm not bothered. Me and Scott are still down to it. Verbal didn't
It's
want
because
to do it,
Verbal didn't agree to it, right? Alex forced him into debate.
Yeah. So,
Slater, read French philosophy. Never.
But if Alex and Noah want to do that, I'm sure Scott would be down to do that.
Dude, Craig, I'll be your partner, dude. Don't worry.
Why are people disliking the video? You're all whores.
God damn. Slater philosophy is so boring.
What?
Better cut your hair, guys. Stop talking about my hair is perfect. Okay, it's actually really. You guys
Also,
are jealous.
why is Time and Money by Roger Garrison cost so much?
Little emo whiteboard. I'm not an emo whiteboard. What? Just keep clowning on me in the group in the chat.
Dude, Jessica
the
is
10
professional simp.
What's her profile?
Let's get to 10 dislikes. So
Let's
mean.
not. Let's not, Pam.
I'm putting the dislikes up. Let's do it.
No.
Epic.
How can you even see that? I can see through. I can still see. Look.
bro.
This is what it looks like when it's level. Look, you can see my eyes. Kind
Slater
of.
eye reveal. Slater eye reveal.
Yo,
Oh,
shake
shit.
your head.
That's crazy. Now you know why I keep it covered.
Don't dodge. Who are we dodging? Oh, what's up? Don't peel my onion.
You can just don't peel my onion. That's honestly the best name. Slater has the troll face chin. I don't know what that means.
No, bro.
Is that Daniel? That like Danimal? Like my partner, Daniel? Like my boyfriend? I mean.
Oh, sorry.
So,
What's
what
up,
do you guys?
Ethan?
How was your guys'
That's real
Thanksgiving?
close,
Oh my god, it was amazing.
But what's a Thanksgiving?
What's a Thanksgiving?
Slater,
Oh
only
yeah,
you
you're
understand
a
Thanksgiving.
foreign weirdo. You know, foreign people don't have rights. You know that, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
we have more foreign, we have more non-Americans than Americans in Colorado now.
Tony's gonna.
That is
get
super cringe. We're outnumbered.
I didn't know. What
No, but we have guns though, so I think we win.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
that
know
is
what
true.
it was and
Especially
everything
me.
else.
Yeah, Zane just gave me a gun and then he has like a rocket
Wow,
launcher or whatever.
Actually, Noah, what's really funny about that is I actually have a paper on just like even if we assumed away the problems of the ECP, the amount of the computational power that would be required to plan a worldwide economy, it would take like 10.7 billion years to plan like the economy for 1 year.
The state is cringe. That's what you're
That's a
asking.
good point. Let's get some minarchists in here for real.
Oh, let's
The
not.
So-
fractional
Can we get
reserve
Larry-
banking
can we get
caused
Larry
the
in here?
business
Oh, I'm
cycle
down.
theory. Yes, it does.
Can we get Larry, please? The king, the goat, the greatest philosopher. I'm a simp. Yeah, for Larry, obviously.
Block Larry. Oh, base Tony.
I never
There,
got
Bear.
I never actually got the idea that people deny fractional reserve causes the business cycle, like especially with the way it's currently conceived in the loanable funds market and the at least in a macro sense, they're like Garrison, the production possibilities frontier. I never conceived the way that it would be said to not shift that sort of supply of loanable funds to the right and cause this lowering of the interest rate and the more roundabout production structures. It doesn't make sense to me that sort of reduced
Yes,
price
minarchism
of
is statism.
like even like the justification used through price stickiness, it doesn't avoid the very problems of the business cycle. It's like the anticipation just becomes distorted.
You should talk to Scott about it.
Let's see. Wait. Will equilibrium always be reached? Equilibrium will never be reached. We never
So-
reach equilibrium, and if we
Yeah.
if we ever reach like a plain state of rest in a specific sector, it's only it's only temporarily before the plain state of rest is removed.
Yeah, equilibrium's constantly.
Damn, Craig, that's tough.
Thoughts on the cockshot solution to the ECP? Cockshot's a moron.
What solution?
Yeah.
Cockshot
So
solution.
Cockshot was basically one of the market socialist guys, and it's still like price formulation is still impossible without private ownership over the means of production because you can't bid on future. Well, not only do you not have a stock market to bid on future goods prices, like expectations about future things, there would be no secondary like capital goods market in order for like these prices to properly formulate. So yeah, it's doesn't really do anything.
I want to debate Larry, he just won't. He says, dude, and we got him in. I was in a Zoom with him the other day.
Oh,
Zane
yeah.
was there too.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I don't read about ontology.
Yeah, he's just on her ethics, which is just like
I can debate him on her ethics too. He's not down for that though.
No, Larry doesn't want to do it because you're too smart, bro.
Larry's a bitch.
It's not that I'm smart. It's just that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And
Didn't he say that you're too young or some
he
shit?
said I was. First of all, I'm the same age as him.
Yeah.
So if I'm too young, then he's too young. Yeah, that's
The
actually that's how like so many leftist critiques sound to me from like an
yeah, oh
outsider's
yeah, Mike.
perspective.
Oh no, it's like literally like I love it, you know, and obviously I haven't read into all of their like any of their like analysis and all this stuff, but they'll be like, oh, people are depressed and it's because of capitalism. Oh, people can't be themselves under capitalism. Somebody even tried to say really stupidly that you can't even that epistemology can't be known properly under capitalism.
Zane, have you read Anti-Oedipus, bro? You just got debunked.
You're right, my bad.
Fred
Yeah,
debunked,
so no,
bro.
they're like, oh man, it rains 3 times a year in Arizona due to capitalism.
It is all capitalism's fault. I think so. I'm really women don't like me, and it's because of capitalism's beauty standard that
Yeah.
they've pushed all these makeup
Alright,
companies.
boys. I'm gonna have to go now. I have to do some stuff. I'll see y'all later. Love you all.
See, Alex.
See how
What do you mean? Explain what you mean by the ECP is too
Can't be
unfair.
refuted,
Are you
bro.
taking
They're gonna-
the Brian Kaplan stance that even if it exists, it's not that big of a deal, or what do you mean?
I think it's just because they can't refute it, and that it's not a good argument because they can't do anything about it. It's like being paralyzed in Pokemon, bro. Like, what are you gonna do?
No, being frozen is worse because at least when you're paralyzed, you have a chance that your attack goes through.
That's well.
Whereas
I mean,
when you're frozen, you have to wait till you're melted.
That's true.
Texas capitalist, what do you mean? Like, if a client wants to invest their money in a bank, they'll just withdraw it, or they'll transfer receipts to the thing they're trying to invest in, so long as it's treated as money proper in the market.
Craig, you gotta speak louder, man. Or like,
Yeah, I know. I'm like shouting down my mic because it's really quiet, but
we need to buy Craig a mic.
Yeah, for real.
we should.
What's wrong with Keynesian econ? So this is really hard to just sum down into like a very diluted response. Okay, but obviously we have differing views on what the economy's job is to do. Like they strive for reaching full employment. I'm perfectly fine with understanding that full employment will never be reached. So and I think full employment is inflationary. Obviously, it depends on when you get into like new Keynesianism or post Keynesianism. Yeah. New Keynesianism has a lot of problems with their micro foundations because it's based off of like the neoclassical micro foundations, things like rational expectations, things such as that. Yeah, so it's not really. I can't really just.
Wait, sorry. I have to interrupt you, and I'm sorry, but Dan said he would buy Craig a carrier headset.
Oh my god!
Please do.
So
somebody send Dan a link to Ireland Amazon.
These Amazon are cool.
Also, Craig apparently sounds like Finn.
Oh, there you go.
Insane.
Oh,
no, I think it's because he whispers so much, or you can't really hear him. But
yeah, guys. So I'm gonna start. Okay, device. Add to stream. I'm gonna start whispering in my videos over like some piano music and see if it gets Madison Beer to follow me.
Same. You gotta make the music louder than your voice too.
Oh, that's true. Did you see that Madison Beer followed Finn?
Yeah, dude. He's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm too scared to talk to her. He's like, you just DM her. Say what's up, guys.
I was like, I wish I was cute and a leftist. I would be famous.
Yeah, you're just cute and an ANCAP, so it's.
I'm not even an ANCAP, bro. I hate that term.
You're cute and you're just cute. It doesn't really matter. The rest doesn't matter.
What do I think of monetary disequilibrium theory? I haven't read into it yet. I don't think being in monetary disequilibrium is a bad thing.
That's saying, how are you okay with your grandpa going out of business because he will lose his subsidies?
I honestly sleep really well at night. What would your response be?
Bro, first of all, change your profile.
Okay, the use value just debunks the LTV, I guess.
Okay, so when you're talking about like what really matters, like if somebody on the left wants to say like that a object has some sort of latent value due to the concealed labor that you can neither prove nor disprove because people if they're conceding that things don't exchange based off their labor value, then it doesn't matter because what's important, right, is exchange, right? When we're talking about economics, because a lot of times when they're talking about the labor theory of value or the law of value, they're talking about exchange. And why are they talking about exchange? Well, because if they can prove that it's the labor that causes something to exchange at a certain rate, well, then that is how they build like their exploitation. So if they concede to the fact that, well, of course, when we're not talking about exchange rates here, that these commodities don't exchange based off of their labor times or whatever, and a lot of them have completely made like this the LTV or the law of value into a complete abstraction of what it really is. Which, just to make the distinction here, the law of value was Marx saying that commodities in equilibrium would exchange for their socially necessary labor times, right? So we can look at that, and if what we're concerned with is exchange, right? And if you're saying that all marginal utility does is categorize use value, well, then you just need to show that things exchange based off of their use value, right? Because what we're concerned with is use, or what we're concerned with is exchange. So if anything they're saying, like if they say, oh, well, even if it exchanges for such and such because you're in a desert, it doesn't make it any more inherently valuable. I would say, well, first of all, I reject the notion that anything is inherently valuable. But we're concerned with exchange. So if you're conceding to the fact that things can exchange for more or less based off of their utility, then you're conceding that things don't exchange directly based off of the labor inputs, that they exchange because of the utility.
Yeah, from my interpretation, at least of what Blake has said to me, I think the fundamental idea in the labor theory of value, at least in its abstract modern form, is more that things are determined at least by an equilibrium or a natural price around their labor times, so that the relative prices at their natural level are oscillating around their natural level are determined by labor time. And this is like a whole of the factor inputs combined with the subjective use value. So we don't determine specifically from the sort of thing.
He's Brazilian.
Proposed, but rather they exchange for something that's all factor prices within the sort of industry that they're being produced by in their specific commodity form, plus this subjective use value that's perceived to the utility of the individual.
So I want to butt in real quick, one, because you're really quiet. So I want to answer a few questions here. Alex debate Henshevik on the ECP. I just like to point out that I murdered that guy on the ECP in a comment section one time, and he hasn't talked to me since. Is economic calculation and socialist commonwealth a good summary of the ECP? Yes, but I think there's a better one. If you read this book called From Marx to Mises, like the first 3 chapters, it was written by an at the time socialist. He's since been converted, and he gives a really, really good summary of like the entire debate, because economic calculation and socialist commonwealth is just the original essay in 1920. And I don't think he gives a super good, like, it's a bit esoteric because I'm pretty sure he wrote it in German. And then it was translated. And also, like, there's been a lot in that debate that has happened since then. So reading something that's a little bit more contemporary that has all of like the up-to-date stuff on the whole debate. But so I would start with the book actually From Marx to Mises.
Are you guys in favor of live unity or right unity? I'm in favor of. I'm not even in favor of unity with minarchists.
Yeah, don't even unite, bro. Same.
Yeah, no.
How do you feel about?
I wouldn't say that
Go
I'm in
ahead.
favor of any unity with anything other than voluntarists. I wouldn't go any further than that.
I'll give my answer in a minute, but I think Glyph was asking me something.
Oh yeah, how do you feel about intersubjective value theory?
Intersubjective value theory?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So like value arises from a need for recognition by another person. So let's say a medal or something, right? You would value that because you get recognition, like in the eyes of others, you win.
That's
okay.
That's
so yeah, all
that's
that's
Marxist.
well. First of all, yeah. So I mean, that's really just what we would call psychic value. So I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. So I just would say that Slater speak Brazilian. The language is Portuguese. They don't speak Brazilian. They speak Portuguese. But so yeah. So like well, I would just say that would be a part. Like sure, like I might buy a Louis Vuitton bag because
it's like
it will get me
right?
perceived
It's
some
brand
sort of way,
recognition.
and that would be part of the psychic value. That would be part of the utility that I'm gaining from it. Is the psychic value I get? Just like I would. So like you could take a bottle of Merlot and a ribeye steak, and you can cook it and you can eat it in your studio apartment, and you would get some satisfaction out of that. Now you could go on the 61st floor overlooking New York City on a window and eat that same bottle or that same exact steak cooked the same way with that same bottle of wine, and you get a lot more value or utility from it because of the psychic value that you're getting from the whole experience, right?
Yeah.
So
but
yeah,
it
I would
seems
just
to me that idea comes from the whole Marxist perspective of it just seems like one big projection of somebody that's insecure, and then you project that onto everybody because of capitalism. But the whole like,
Wasn't that Deleuzian though? Is that
I
Marxist?
mean, they're all Marxists. I mean, in the sense
Yeah.
that Marxists read them. That's all I mean.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of those critiques, and also for the theory of value thing, it seemed. All right, one second. I'll be back.
All right. While he's back, I'm gonna answer something else that I saw. Give me 1 sec. I'm trying to find. I know I saw something that I wanted to answer.
Yeah, while you look for that, I think with intersubjective value theory, it can also kind of be applied to a media of exchange. It's the same sort of idea as like the general recognition that you have something that can formulate indirect exchange for other goods that's not necessarily within the utility within themselves, but it's still utility in the sense that you perceive it. It's sort of like the Manchurian idea of like transferring value from higher order goods that are equivalent in their totality to the lower order goods. It's like you have this indirect idea of the utility that is perceived from gaining this object.
Yeah.
So I can't find what I wanted to answer. Oh, I remember what it was. Zane, how many streams of income do you have? I'll answer that in a sec. But I remember. So the unity question. So I am fine with anything from mutualist and right, as long as like the mutualists are like voluntary mutualists, like they don't want, because most mutualists don't want like complete seize of the means of production, just like as long as it's voluntary. So like mutualist, Hoppians, agorists, and caps, pretty much just market anarchist unity.
Yeah.
And then as well as I would. Oh, somebody's waiting in the. Who's this?
Donald J. Trump.
Okay, so and then I would lump in like I'm okay personally with minarchists as long as they're like voluntary, because I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But whatever. I know some of y'all disagree with me. Zane, how many streams of income do you have? I don't know, like 5 or 6.
Oh.
Yeah. You gotta make a 7th one with that OnlyFans. Craig, everybody keeps telling you to get a kilt, so you should do it.
You don't get kilts, you rent kilts for weddings. That's the only time you put them on.
All right, so
Because they
rent
believe
one
in the public good.
So I don't think they yeah. So I know what you're talking about is like, oh, if competition is good for every single market, why do we draw the line that the police and the military and the court system? And it comes down to the idea. By the way, there's a question for you. Somebody said, what's wrong with egoistic altruism? But so I don't think it's really that they wouldn't necessarily say that, oh, you know, theoretically you could have better results with like police like competition and stuff like that, but it's more so about the government maintaining its monopoly on use of force and violence in an area, because a minarchist would believe that in order for like there to be cohesive property rights, there needs to be a single entity that enforces those property rights, or else you just get into a kind of like it's not like cohesive from their perspective, right? Slater.
Yeah. It doesn't exist. It's like contradictory, or if it is, I don't really care if it is. I mean, it's like the same thing. They're two opposite terms trying to put them together. Basically, it's like the whole optimistic nihilism thing, which is actually, I think it's valid. But yeah, there's no such thing as egoistic altruism. It's just people who don't want to say that they're egoists. They say, oh, I get pleasure from helping other people, so therefore that's altruism. No, that's still egoism. You're still acting to satisfy your values. So it's just people who are scared to call themselves egoists. From what I know, it's just people who are scared to call themselves egoists and want to hold on to this altruist ethic that they've been forced through religion, and it's not cool. Just being egoist.
Why not just call yourself a
religion
social
is very
egoist?
altruistic. Sorry, what was that?
Call yourself a social egoist or some shit.
That seems that would make more sense. Either way, I don't know. I mean,
Everyone wants to see Craig dance.
I would.
I mean, combining that with praxeology as well would be an essential way just to kind of show that even with altruistic based behaviors, they're still necessarily acting in an egoist fashion.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, either I think it depends how you define self-interest. Honestly, I think it comes down to like the whole like altruism doesn't exist thing from a psychological egoist perspective. I don't think it's important. I mean, anything like that, like psychological egoism or free will, none of those seem like important. It doesn't.
Praxeology. Are you a Hayekian Pan?
Would gun control in a private city be allowed?
Yes.
I would say so.
Yeah.
It's a private city.
It's self-regulation. So yeah.
Do you think it
Yeah,
would be
so
used?
you could have self-regulation within like a. You could also have like, so say this is just like a very baseline response. So like in order to ensure that like you could carry insurance, like essentially like crime insurance, in case you violate somebody's property rights or something like that. You would have your insurance cover this, and your insurance company might say, well, there are certain factors that we one sec. There are certain factors that we don't want you to do in order to keep your premiums low. So they would say, all right, as your insurance company, we don't want you hoarding nukes in your basement. And so if you want to carry insurance so that you're covered in case you violate somebody's property rights or whatever. Are agorism and anprim closely related? Not at all.
Could I form a
Yeah.
community in Incapistan?
Yes.
I would say it depends on whose property you do it on. If it's voluntary, then yeah, of course. I mean, I assume they mean commune when they say community.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily form a true one if you mean in regards to communism,
Right.
because it would be through propertarian means. But I mean,
And,
in essence of a community, sure, you could.
Somebody say something edgy.
No.
Why not?
Oh God.
No.
Zane,
Can you
please
have?
declare the thing.
You can have
Wait,
adventure.
can I not go mask off? I can't go mask off. Okay,
No.
fine.
I can put my mask on though.
You can have adventure servitudes. Maybe you can I don't know, point a gun at them or something. I don't know.
Warlord
Do
problem.
we invite someone on and we can have a conversation with them?
Oh, yeah. Block thought you could give away your self-ownership.
Silver asked, "What do you think of the JQ?"
Based.
Wait a
We
minute.
You guys have
Hey.
3 hours.
Yo, on that note, Silver, get out of here. I'm just playing. I would have believed in it, but Murray Rothbard was a Jew, so he restored my faith.
Oh, very interesting question.
So I.
What's your
hoard
thoughts on
property.
Blake's critique of capitalism, saying that capitalist growth rates are turbulent, in the words of Scheich? If he's talking about the theory or the tendency for the rate of profit to fall, then I don't agree with him. Now, Mises had his own formulation of the profit, like falling profit, and essentially, as market processes become more efficient, your profit would fall, but then you would just expand the production structure, and you would have like a more roundabout production process that would then increase efficiency and raise your profits again, essentially. So like it's more of like your profits would fluctuate, but it's always like there's like an equilibrating effect. So just like it's not like the profits are like straight just like falling and then eventually they're going to reach zero. No, like the profits have been like it's just it ebbs and flows.
You know, a good title for that would be long-term profits. It seems like a pretty good description.
Yeah.
Read Dust Capital if you want an econ book. Very based.
Somebody asked, "Won't we run out of property?" I don't know what that means.
What's wrong with equilibrium that is inherent in a free market? Wait, Slater, finish what you were saying.
somebody asked, will we run out? I forgot that it was old, so maybe there was context. That
In terms of land or what?
Will we run out
Will
of
we run
property
out
though?
property? I mean, in the sense that like all property is already going to be owned in a fully privatized society, then I mean, you can all property can be privately owned, which is then just passed down. But like,
Yeah, I mean-
Well, are you talking about property? Is this person talking about property or land? Because there's
I mean, homesteading
Property.
land will probably not be the voluntary transferring of ownership would still be a thing. So
yeah, I mean,
not really an
technically,
issue.
so long as a being exists, you never run out of property if you are your own property, and that's it.
people will
Wait.
just hoard property. I don't understand how that is good for society. Okay, well, one, it's not about whether or not, or for me, it's not about whether or not it's good for society. It's whether or not they have the right to do so, and I think they do. But I mean, people don't just hoard property in the sense that you mean. Like they invest their money. That's how they make more money a lot of the time.
Yeah, so essentially what you're talking about, and this is the same thing as the theory of idle resources. So if somebody were to buy up a bunch of property and just hold off on, say, building houses, can y'all hear the vacuum?
It's not too bad, but yeah.
Okay, it's pissing me off. So it's the same thing as the theory of idle resources. So if somebody were to buy up a bunch of land and not like renovate it right or build houses on it right now, it's because they expect there to be a higher demand for it in the future, right? So what they're doing is they're not what is the word where you like essentially build a bunch of houses in a community, like build a community.
Slater has big lips.
I can't think of the word. But anyways, so essentially they're holding off from doing that because it'll be more profitable in the future because there would be a higher demand in the future, right? So like if you were to buy a bunch of property up and then just build a bunch of houses on it, those houses might not go sold until for another 3, 4, 5 years or whatever. So what people do is they buy property and they sit on it because just like if I might buy a bunch of steel and say that I'm building a commodity A that is made out of steel. Now I might have 1 million pounds of steel, and with that I can make 1 billion of these of commodity A's. So I wouldn't just build 1 billion of them at a time. I would supply enough to where supply like and meets demand, right? And because if I were to supply too much, essentially I would not be making profit, and the resource would already be tied up in something, right? So then I couldn't retake that. So like if I make enough of the commodity to where all like the market clears, that commodity sells, and then I make more and then it doesn't sell, I can then take the rest of that steel that I left over and I can allocate it elsewhere. If I were to buy a bunch of land and build a ton of houses, well, and then come to find out nobody wants houses, but they want apartment buildings. Well, I can't just destroy all the stuff and build. I mean, you could, but you'd be wasting lots and lots of money. So it's about waiting till the demand is right for certain. So there's nothing wrong with somebody just hoarding land.
Being an idiot, please.
What's he
You're
saying?
talking about there's no reason why I wouldn't be able to own slaves on Earth.
Good God. Wait, I don't know. Is that ironic, or should I actually answer that?
I don't
I don't
he's
know.
a minarchist, so he might not be. I think he's a minarchist.
I'm just gonna assume it's ironic. I hope it is.
Why is the minimum wage bad? So minimum wage is one of those things where it's like really and truly it's just about supply and demand, right? So it's like price fixing. Like just if you were to fix the price of any commodity, it's going to alter the supply and demand for that commodity. And the demand for labor is rather inelastic, meaning that for the most part, there should always be a demand for labor. However, due to shifts in consumer demands, shifts in resource scarcity and stuff like that, obviously you're never going to be in a complete like plain state of rest in the labor market to where everybody is employed at a constant rate. But so allowing wages to flow more freely up and down and adjust allows for to remain at higher unemployment for longer periods of time. Because, for example, say that a company needs to drop wages because such and such has happened, right? And but you make $7 an hour right now, and that's the minimum wage. But they would need to drop your wages to $6 an hour in order to keep you employed. Well, now they can't do that. So instead of just making $1 less an hour, now you get unemployed. And a high minimum wage can also have effects such as disemployment, which is people who weren't already employed trying to get into the labor market, but because they don't say haven't gotten any skills, so somebody just trying to enter into the labor market without any skills built up might not be able to get a job because of he's entering in a market at a price that's, well, he's not worth $15, $20 an hour. So it's unrealistic for the U.S. to abolish the minimum wage. I don't think it's unrealistic at all. But I mean, we definitely should we keep it, or should we keep it up to $15? Wait, what?
Should we keep it or should we put it up to 15? Since it
Why would we put it up to 15? Like, just so your question is like, oh, we can't abolish it, so let's make it worse.
Well, maybe 15 is a golden number, and it works at 15, but no other.
In the comments, equilibrium is inherent to any commodity with supply and demand attributes. We just can't know what this equilibrium necessarily is until it's reached. And as we can't necessarily reach equilibrium in the sense that our market conditions are constantly changing, it's inherent in the sense that it's always going to be there, but we'll never actually reach this equilibrium.
So it's moral to reduce somebody's wages? Absolutely, as long as they continue coming to work and whatever. Yeah, like you're not forcing them to stay at that wage. Yeah, so it's like it's like you saying it's immoral to reduce somebody's wages is almost like saying you have a moral obligation to employ them in the first place, which you don't. We've changed the minimum wage 22 times. You really think it's realistic to abolish? The federal minimum wage has been the same for like over 10 years, and it's a relatively low minimum wage. So yeah, I'm not saying that I don't believe that change can happen democratically anyways. I'm an agorist, so I don't really care about what the minimum wage is in the current system at all. But yes, I actually do see that as being a feasible thing that could happen.
Oh, and also, if you're talking about like reducing people's wages in the sense that it's like their nominal wages, if you're reducing them and say in the context of price stickiness, so that these sort of factor inputs are raising before their output prices, then it's really just reducing their nominal wages, which will simultaneously increase their real wages, which in no way is immoral. In fact, it's far better for the worker themselves.
Yeah, so I would rather have my wage reduced than go unemployed.
Thoughts on John Rawls, egalitarianism?
So great to become Catholic.
So I'm actually a bit sympathetic to the bottom-up strategy because it's very similar to the agorist strategy. I do think it's possible as long as Hoppians stop trying to team up with paleocons. It's really annoying when that happens. It's
honestly, I don't know if most Hoppians are actually for a voluntary society, because they just, or at least most who call themselves Hoppians, not actual Hoppians. They seem like they just want like an intellectual branch of the right that is also socially conservative, but they don't. But they want to claim like this intellectual aspect that comes with being like a voluntarist.
Yeah, like I understand like the traditional approach, right? And I understand like trying to have this route where you can convert people on the right. However, I think it would be like they're essentially saying like, so there's right Rothbardians and left Rothbardians. They're essentially saying I would rather work with paleocons than agorists, which I think is really ridiculous.
Brazilian, so he has high time preference. Do foreign people have high time preference or something? According to Hopper?
I refuse to even integrate myself with religion at all. I believe it nothing more than an abstract. I can assimilate myself with any truth premise that religion proposes. I think it's just too far down the line with any sort of a priori truth. And I think agnostic theist, if you're going the sort of deist approach, is the best way.
I agree, Craig. Somebody asked, would they be able to make their own private Catholic city? Yeah, obviously, if you have
Sure.
the means, then yeah, of course you can make that, as long as it's voluntary. Why does Russian capitalists debate? Now, this is the real question.
Who said this? We need to pin that.
Joey Holt?
Thoughts on Russian capitalists.
Joey
So
Holt
true.
said,
That's a good
I mean,
question.
Thank you, Pam.
Honestly, I think everybody, even me, I don't even care about politics. You could just LARP as like a leftist and destroy him. It's bad. Dude, him on self-ownership, that was hilarious.
Yeah, like when I
Very-
LARPed as pro-taxation against you, Slater.
Dude, that was so. Dude, I took an edible like an hour before. So it was just. I still think I kind of got you though.
I don't
kinda
know.
got
I don't think you
kinda got
did.
you. Because no, my thing with that we're living in an already coercive context. So we're being coerced to make these decisions that you would say, like give the government position. Also, Murray Rothbard or whatever, I don't know his real name, but he texted me later. Like, what was Zane's argument again? It was hilarious.
Regarding the minimum wage, productivity
Bro,
needs to follow wages. I
oh,
think we should abolish the minimum wage, but since its introduction at the federal level in 1938, it's been up 20 times. It's not going. Sorry for wall of text. Yeah, like I said, there's been a lot of things that have existed for a long time. Are they also there? Thick liberty who has it? Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's crazy for something just because it's been in existence for almost 100 years for it to be abolished. But like I said, I don't seek change democratically anyways. Actually, a raise in minimum wage from an agorist perspective can be seen as a potentially beneficial thing because then you have more people participating in the counter economy and tensions at what's it called? The starts with an A. Disdain towards the government. I'm going to use a different word because I can't think of it. Disdain towards the government grows, the counter economy grows, and so yeah, I think it can. Thoughts on the left Rothbardians? I'm a left Rothbardian. So they're
Gary, regarding your question of Ham's and his red theory,
Alec,
maybe.
what is your profile picture? Also, Alex here. I didn't know that.
okay. So left Rothbardian. I'll explain this because don't know asked what it is. So Rothbard was more concerned with teaming with back in I want to say 60s or 70s, whenever it was. So you had what was called the old right and the new left. And essentially the old right were like what would have been considered at the time, like paleo conservatives and stuff like that. So right Rothbardians are people like who were like more traditionally conservative ANCAPs. So maybe like your standard ANCAP or your even your Hoppians who are very like traditional. A left Rothbardian is more like a socially progressive ANCAP.
Top three.
How do we arrive at self-ownership? I don't know. It's not a question for me.
Yeah.
Top three books for libertarianism and Austrian econ.
You don't arrive at self-ownership.
Dude, I honestly couldn't explain it in 3 books. Okay, but if I had to give 3 books, just for a very basic entry summary, economics in 1 lesson. Obviously, everybody knew I was going to say that.
Yo, same book I have.
Dude, I don't really know. I don't really like a lot of libertarian. I'm not a fan of like libertarian ethics, so I don't really like a lot of. I'm more of an econ guy. If somebody else wants to answer this one,
I mean, I can. For libertarianism, I would say general introduction to the doctrine would be Anatomy of the State by Rothbard, Chaos Theory by Murphy, and probably Against the State by Rockwell. A good introduction to it.
I definitely suggest Chaos Theory. That's something you should absolutely read. But I'd also
Yeah,
suggest
it's
going
so
for a new Liberty or the Libertarian Manifesto. That's something that's pretty important. The Agorist
Oh,
Manifesto is pretty important too. There's a few other things. If you join the political TikTok Discord, there's a whole section that I've linked to anarcho-capitalism reading lists. So that's always there.
If you want an introduction to agorism, did he just recommend Lou Rockwell? I haven't read his book. Why does everybody call him such a meme? But
No, Rockwell is nice, bro.
Because
so
he's
yeah,
literally
so
like a white nationalist.
An agorist primer is good. The new Libertarian Manifesto is good. Agorist Class Theory, a left libertarianism is good. Is a good book. And then Counter Economics from the Back Alleys to the Stars is really good.
I go to sleep every night crying about George Selwyn's existence. So yes.
This is actually a real picture of Australic.
Yeah, it's my selfie.
It's really cute, man.
That's sexy.
Yeah, thanks. My book recommendation is the 9-hour audiobook of Democracy, the God That Failed. That's what I have to contribute.
Yeah, I didn't know he had generic in the call. That's crazy.
White Right and Libertarian. I was gonna read it. I read some of the foreword by Hoppe. It is quite controversial, but it seems good so far. But it seems to be a sort of refined version of getting libertarianism right.
Okay, so here's if your question is, can you be such and such an ANCAP? As long as you're thinking of a positive thing and not a negative. So as long as you're not encroaching upon anybody's negative right? So yes, you could voluntarily enter into a society or a community, a neighborhood, whatever, that said that you're not going to have abortions and you agree to that. So yes, you can be pro-life and ANCAP. Slater, here's one for you.
Oh no. Best intro philosophy. The best way to get into philosophy is to learn about the history of philosophy, by far. If you don't, I know people who just the first philosophy book they get is Critique of Pure Reason, and they're like, I have no idea. Philosophy is stupid and hard. Well, obviously it's stupid and hard because you started with Critique of Pure Reason. You have to get context. You have to learn philosophy the way that humanity did. So. Anthony Kenny's History of Philosophy is good. W.T. Jones's is good. That one's a little rare though and expensive. And Frederick Copleston's is good. That's the ones I can vouch for. Although Copleston's is in 7 volumes or something, and Kenny's is in 1, so you might want to get that. But that, or you can listen to a lecture series on the history of philosophy. That's what I'd recommend anybody beginning to do. And then you can be interested in whatever. Well, you can explore whatever interests you. I can't tell you what interests you, obviously. Philosophy is a massive field, so you can end up being interested in philosophy of religion or time or epistemology or ethics or aesthetics or politics. It just depends on. I mean, you can just DM me if you ever have recommendations about a specific field, especially idealism. I can give you recommendations. But just philosophy in general, I would just say read a history of philosophy, and then get started.
Yeah, I don't.
Philosophers before Hume are cringe. Jeez, Pan is constantly having terrible takes.
Pan has worst takes time after time.
It's literally his takes get worse and worse as time goes on.
Even then, you won't understand anything about why is Hume talking about what he's talking about. He's doing that because of the past.
You're starting with Aquinas selected writings? I wouldn't start there. I would not start with Aquinas.
Yeah, but if you're trying to go for a more I've not read a lot of metaphysics. I've only read parts of persistent problems in philosophy. But if you're going the more ethics and epistemology approach, definitely
Aristotle.
Yeah, I mean, even in the Austrian tradition, I would definitely go the sort of method of starting on I think what's it called again? I think it's economic science and the Austrian method. Definitely start there. That was one of the best things I've ever read as an introduction to epistemology and the Austrian tradition. And then from there, I moved to theory and history. And then I maybe read human action in the context of like its epistemological views. Then moved to epistemological problems of economics, and then the ultimate foundation of economic science by Mises.
This dude just said he likes Francis Bacon. You're really hurting my feelings today, Pan.
He has that one quote that's cool or something. About reality must be obeyed to be conquered or whatever. I don't know what it's saying.
And if you're looking for ethics, read The Ethics of Liberty, Economics and Ethics of Private Property. They're generally two pretty good books for Austrian ethics.
Ew, Heinz Hermann
Learn
Hoppe?
to use the word metaphysics.
Yeah, but Economics and Ethics of Private Property is kind of an advanced book.
Is it? I thought it was pretty simple.
Oh, shut up, bro.
There's nothing like extremely hard in it.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know if it's a translation or not, but it's kind of hard to read. Well, it was hard for me to comprehend anyway.
Really, that was like one of the best writings I've ever read.
Damn, bro. To be fair, you hate Mises' writing, so you cringe.
Oh no, I hate Rothbard and Mises' writing, but like I love
Rothbard's writing is nice.
Do you want to? This guy is oh yikes, prophet libertarian. That is a hot take, my friend.
And I agree with it.
I just take a visit to the Empire State Building and jump off it for that statement alone.
Oh, Alec, he's talking to you right now.
You silly.
I have read Dostoevsky. I read Crime and Punishment like 2 years ago.
Oh, dude.
It was really like dreadful. It was
Slater. So there's that bookstore I was telling, the used bookstore that has like all like the leather bound like collectible versions of books. They have like, to no surprise, like one of like the books in the collection is Crime and Punishment, and they have like 6 copies of it. And like this, and it's like a collectible version of it, and there's still like 6 of them in this one store.
There's a book called Institutes of Metaphysics by J.F. Ferrier. He was like one of the original like new idealists after the German idealism wave. And like an article, I thought it was like the original published article, like the first edition, but it was like a review of his book. I'm so mad when I found out. It was like $20 cheaper than everything else. So I guess it makes sense. What should I read before Nicomachean and Ethics? Nothing. That is a great starting point for ethics.
Yeah, you can start with Nicomachean and Ethics. It's actually really easy to start.
Yeah, and it's like the first systematic.
Perry came up with that quote.
Who? E.B. Perry? Oh, the translation?
Perry came up with the quote, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger."
Oh.
I mean, it sounds like something Nietzsche would say. Yeah, I didn't know he came up with it, but
apparently it wasn't him.
He's very quotable, so he has a lot of really good quotes.
Thoughts on the exploitation theory. Do commodities have a negative effect on the human psyche?
Wait, as in the Marxian exploitation theory of
I assume that's I assume that's what he means. I think it depends on which version you use, right? Because some don't depend on the subjective theory or the labor theory of value, or some are more dependent on it than others, right?
It's not really like I don't like that a lot of Austrians claim that it's dependent on the labor theory of value, because it's not really. It's just dependent on the monetary gains of sort of input to output ratios of you produce this much in input and you sell this much in output. It's kind of just dependent on these objective or subjective exchange ratios. It's not really the value itself, and I think that confuses things a lot. But if you're talking specifically about exploitation, it's just purely down to interest incomes, and they don't conceive of this properly in the sense that they have this sort of impossibility of exchange for present and future goods, and this is where interest arises from. And this is from like the conditions of uncertainty and things of this sort of nature. And if you don't conceive of this properly, and the sort of state of even an equilibrium, there's still going to be this derived interest income because of this sort of like, it's like intrinsic to the nature of humans that we must consume in the present at some point to sustain ourselves. So that sort of impossibility for like completely equilibrated conditions between present and future goods would always derive an interest income in every scenario, and this is where interest arises from.
I just want to say that Pan is actually the dumbest person in chat, by far, like easily. So what's your profile picture, Pan? After Shelton's rejection to the Fed, is there any hope for free market?
They're doing a recount or whatever
to re-enter the mainstream.
Again, I say this every single time. Give up on achieving change from within the system. It is dead. It's not going to happen. And the sooner you give up on that happening, that you'll be liberated in your own personal life, and you will be free from this dread of the current state of affairs that our current politics is. Who cares? You're not going to get change through our representative democracy. It's not going to happen.
That's the most base thing that's been said in this live stream so far. Dude, imagine sitting on your computer and then looking up like this politician's platform and saying who's better for anarchy out of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Like there's no that's insane. Also, not even if there is important differences between the two, you have to learn them, which takes time, which means you're doing something that you don't have to be doing, because there are other things I'm sure that you'd rather do than look up what fucking Donald Trump believes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The amount of time you could be spending learning about whether Donald Trump actually is marginally better than Joe Biden. You could be spending learning and bettering your actual position and convincing more people to give up on the system altogether.
Or doing literally anything else.
Literally anything else.
Even if you didn't have to get educated, even if you were just automatically had the knowledge of everything in your head, it was just going to vote, it would still be a waste of time in my opinion. Under our current system, I would never waste my time in vote. I'd rather walk, and that is more of a value in my life.
Here's why I'll actually give a reason for why I actually still voted for Jorgensen, and for one reason and one reason only. And Konkin talks about this. The Libertarian Party was not created to win elections. The Libertarian Party was created so that they could be on the main stage and essentially get the idea of libertarianism out to the public, right? They were never supposed to win an election. That's why I get so frustrated when people are like, libertarians, you should focus on winning elections. And I'm like, a libertarian president is a contradiction. It's yeah. So like, it's just about like, I voted for Jorgensen only for, not because I actually like Jorgensen, not because I think change can come democratically, just because I thought my one extra vote maybe will convince more people towards the libertarian side. That's all it is.
That was a question for Slater.
Do you believe capital is voluntary? And I always hear leftists say it's not voluntary because of Marxist theory of material productive forces and people are coerced into working. People are coerced into working in the sense that if they don't work, they die. So I agree with that. I don't think that's... thing is, you have to distinguish.
Where did Alec get his profile picture? His front camera?
Because it's him. Get it? That's so funny. That was like, oh, Zane with the hair out. But you have to distinguish between, I think people call it like natural coercion versus, well, I don't know what the other is called. But I've heard people talk about it. But I conceptualize that as, is there, because in these sort of relationships, coercion is a kind of relationship. You have two terms or two relata.
I have a standardized argument for this, and it's way better.
Okay, and you have two terms. So you have somebody that is doing the coercion, someone who's coercing there, and somebody who's being coerced. Now, if you don't have that relationship, then I mean, no economic system is going to change that. Because if you had this relationship, like let's say you blame it on capitalism, well, it's not capitalism's fault that you'll die if you don't work. In fact, I mean, it's for capitalism that you can work and not die in a lot of cases. So I don't see this causal relationship between this this supposedly involuntary. I mean, I guess you could call it involuntary. I think it's a trivial thing. It's involuntary in the same way that you woke up this morning is involuntary. It's a natural thing that happens.
So, gonna answer a few questions. Is Zane bi? No. Don't tell anybody though. I'm supposed to be remaining ambiguous. Somebody said, where'd it go?
Before we move on to anything else, I'd just like to say, Texas capitalists, please shoot yourself. Like,
Whoa, buddy.
Oh, somebody said why are okay, I found it. So, first of all, they are prominent in academia. They have many like big published journals or whatever. They are a heterodox school, meaning they're outside of the mainstream. But it also depends on what part of academia. And you have to understand the way economics works is economics is like a fake friend. When things are going good, people will call themselves like this, that, and the other. And then every single financial crisis that happens, they start reevaluating their views. And they're like, well, maybe the Austrians were right, or maybe the Keynesians were right, or maybe the post-Keynesians have something to say. So what you have to understand is that when it comes to mainstream economics, it's never just like there is one person in the spotlight. But I would say that Austrians are still big in academia. There's a lot of Austrians. There's several Austrian peer-reviewed journals. So yeah, this notion that they're not big in academia is just unconfounded. And also, as far as why would he? Oh my God, Pan! Why do you have to be such a brainlet?
Wait, Zane, finish up because I want to hop onto your point about Austrians.
Yeah. So, anyways, also as far as like the philosophical and like epistemological stances, there is quite a actual like a lot of academia that agrees with the Austrian methodology that are in the philosophy world. Maybe not necessarily the economy world, but in the philosophy world, there are a lot of people that hold the Austrian methodology to be superior. From like an epistemic and methodological standpoint.
Yeah, I'll say
Okay.
All right.
Wait. I want to, real quick, I agree with what Zane is saying. And also, consider it this way. The mainstream is here to justify what exists. The new Keynesians believe in central banking. They believe in progressive taxation. And they believe in intervention into the economy for price stabilization. That's antithetical to everything that Austrianism stands for. So because that's happening, I'm glad we're not in the mainstream. I don't want to be the economic school that's backing what's happening in our society. I would rather be as far from the mainstream as possible because we don't stand for these things. So to me, the mainstream school of economics exists to justify what's wrong with our society. So if you say Austrianism is not as prominent as other schools, good, because at least we're not justifying the wrong things.
Yeah, I mean, if you conceive of it this way, the mainstream is neoclassical and they use growth models that literally forgot about the existence of fucking time. The fact that we're not in the mainstream in the neoclassical sense is a fucking good thing at that point.
Okay, yeah, and a lot of it's about maintaining the status quo. Pan, I'm going to address you in a minute, but I'm still answering this question. A lot of it's about maintaining the status quo. And the implications of if Austrians were correct would be so monumental that they can't allow them to be correct, right? Like getting rid of the central bank, getting rid of all these like government regulations, getting rid of like all these subsidizations and stuff like that. I mean, the entire structure of the economy would be changed. ASU did get an econ degree, unfortunately.
Like an
yeah, I mean,
honorary?
yeah. So Pan, all I'm gonna say is. Or I'll ask you a question. Why do claims need empirical verification? Why do synthetic claims need empirical verification?
I mean, even like under the pretext that we have empirical verification, its very own doctrine refuses to admit that truth claims can be further established. Like, we observe something empirically. Okay, what can we do with that apart from make a statement about this with the exact same factors, circumstances that are constantly adapting in complex phenomena? Like
Right.
we have a truth claim that is consistent with one period in history that will never apply again. What use does this serve us in any way to perceive actual knowledge of economics?
Not even
Yeah.
economic. I don't even care about
Yeah,
economics.
just epistemologically in general.
Yeah,
That's really
like
the point.
I like truth claims do not necessitate empirical verification. Even if you were to say that they would necessitate empirical verification, at some point you're going to fall into an infinite regress, into where you're going to either fall into skepticism or you're going to have to admit that there has to be some sort of a priori knowledge that we're and sure, you can be a skeptic, but at the point of being a skeptic, you've given up on actually trying to understand how we understand things and just kind of fallen into a state of contradiction. But because you would have to know that you're incapable of knowing things. Thoughts on MMT? MMT has they're just so. So MMT has some good descriptive stuff, right? So like they are just all MMT is it's describing how a fiat currency works, right? Now they do make prescriptions based off of their description, and that's where you can start going into the problems with those prescriptions and whatnot. But as far as descriptively, there's not a lot of stuff that I necessarily disagree with.
Oh God, I'm totally opposite. I hate them so much. They stem from chartalism, the view that money only came from the state imposing money on the citizens instead of kind of the natural way, like the
No,
this isn't
yeah,
necessarily-
like that. Okay, so their anthropological views, I don't necessarily agree with.
right.
But like
But
they're
what that causes is their current views to be shaped by the idea that they have so much control over money and the idea that they could tax out any private dollars that would be inflationary. Like I just think it's so pseudoscientific.
that's prescriptive though. That's not descriptive. So that's where you could draw like a you could talk about that specifically. But I mean, in their sense that they're like, okay, the government is the sole issuer of its own currency, and they maintain a demand for that through taxation. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Do they do we pay for things through taxation? Technically, no. They just credit the balances of these government programs, and then they use taxes as a method of pulling expenditure. This is true, but that doesn't necessarily.
Bro. Okay, hold on.
Pan has to be trolling.
Okay. So even like perceiving that empiricism can be built off as a foundation, this isn't necessarily true in the sense that all knowledge can presuppose the very idea of action with its own foundations. So every notion of knowledge that we have must necessarily presuppose a categorical understanding of the praxeological sort of foundations of action. Everything that stems from this thus must be into consideration, and any attempt to deny it would end up in performative contradiction, as all knowledge presupposes this sort of category. But you can build from this empirical knowledge, but you shouldn't, as it's inherently fallacious and doesn't even provide any universal truth claim, which means you're essentially making a claim from history and taking it forward as a sort of prescription of universally valid knowledge, which is opposed to its own doctrine. Empiricism is definitely not proved by empiricism, rather is self-refuting in the sense that it's making an absolute claim, an absolute a priori claim, and then refuting itself by saying you cannot, or this knowledge is meaningless to actual reality. When you say that all knowledge must remain hypothetical or all knowledge must be proved by sensory experience, and then without any verificational experience to prove this claim, you're refuting your own doctrine. I have no idea how this is proved by itself.
Okay, so Pan, I do have a question though. What epistemic stance do you take specifically? Because empiricism is just a yeah, I mean, empiricism is just an umbrella term though. Like, what specifically?
Right.
Are you an evidentialist? Are you a logical positivist? Are you what are you specifically? Because then the conversation goes in many different directions based off what your specific epistemic stance is. Negative empiricist. So do you believe that no synthetic claims can be made a priori?
Oh, and further, you have to distinguish between social sciences and natural sciences. They have different methodological approaches.
I literally don't care about the distinction between social and natural sciences. Even in natural sciences, you come to like the same problem of even when we're testing these hypotheses, how it actually we for example like just because a certain reaction happens and we experience this reaction, so logical truths can be this logical truth. So that's not what I asked. I said so like do you believe that there can be synthetic a priori truths?
So a priori truths that are dependent on, that are not just dependent on like a
Tautological.
right. It's not linguistically. It's not by definition true. Like the proposition won't be by definition true.
But yeah, so even when we're talking about the methodology of the quote unquote hard sciences, the very notion of we understanding the reactions that are going on in a certain test is dependent upon our knowledge of those things. So we could say like, and this is where you get into like the probability theories, and you could say, well, it's more probable that this reaction is occurring due to this, this, and this than, yeah.
Well, yeah, math would be classed as synthetic a priori, but it's not math specifically.
Okay, wait. Random question. Sorry to interrupt. Does anyone have the link for the Mises store, Man Economy State, Human Action, and Principles of Economics like package? You know what I'm talking about? It was like $18 for all 3 books.
No.
Oh, that's gonna be like the pocket edition of those books, and you don't want like the pocket editions of those books are really bad from what I've heard.
Oh crap! All right, never mind. Continue.
Well, at least I don't know about Principles of Econ, but I've heard very bad things about the pocket editions of Human Action and MES. No, I don't specifically mean Math Pan. I'm just saying, do you believe that there can be synthetic a priori knowledge?
Or just that you can know synthetic propositions to be true a priori. Oh, you guys can see my eyes now. That's crazy. Kinda. That's kind of spooky.
I'm asking for an example of what do you mean. Okay, so for example, like an absolute metaphysical claim would be synthetic a priori. So like an absolute claim like all planets revolve around stars. That would be a synthetic a priori claim. Would that be correct, Slater? Would that be?
Yeah, that would be synthetic.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's. I mean, you could say it's a priori. I don't know. I wouldn't say so, but
yeah, it's
definitely a
depending how you
synthetic
discern it. It can either be discerned through like an observational pattern or like I don't really know how you discern that a priori, but
You do think you could come to that a priori? Why do you think certain hypotheses need to be tested over others? So what specifically about like praxeology do you like? What hypothesis within praxeology do you think needs to be tested? And so now we get into like the specific methodology of economics, and within the realm of economics, and why these things can never be tested, and why you cannot. So you understand, like in like a scientific laboratory, right? What we can do is we can control for like either we can control for exogenous factors, or we can know how the exogenous factors impact the endogenous factors. However, in the realm of economics, one, we have no laboratory where we can test our hypotheses. All we can do is look at history and try and apply them. And two, we have no way of control. We can't control exogenous factors. Not only can we not control exogenous factors, we don't know how these exogenous factors would. It's good for coming up with hypotheses, just that people shouldn't call them truths. Why?
what? I mean, when you have a foundation that fundamentally becomes undeniable by any pretext of experience, by any proposition claiming to negate it, causing the very negation of this proposition, and providing for a theory of universally true knowledge that can then lead to deductions that we can specifically say always apply universally as it comes from this foundation. To say that we shouldn't call these truths is very odd, to say the least.
It's the only way to know that a logical argument is sound. What is?
Through empirical.
Testing it?
What?
So I guess we could go back to the math example. Do you think that in order to, you would have to test the Pythagorean theorem every single time to see if it was true, if it's logically sound, or is it logically sound with it? You can't be sure that you have all the premises though. Sure, but if a premise were false, you could actually point out the premise and say, "Hey, look, this premise is false. That's not true." So you could attack the premises. Right. So when you're forming like a logical argument, right? It's not the conclusion that you're looking at. It's within the internal integrity of the argument. So if you believe that an outcome, especially in something like praxeology where we can't control for exogenous variables, testing couldn't disprove a logical argument, because as long as the logic. So if you have a grievance with one of like the logical foundations and one of the premises, then you can talk about like the actual logic of the premise itself.
Yeah, and furthermore, even like a theory that would require experimental evidence can't even control for this either. The premises can be false just the same way as a methodological approach can lead to false results. Like, your system doesn't fix this either way.
Even so like the thing is with Pan, what he's actually saying the opposite of what is true. If you use empirical investigation of your premises, you're not going to get an absolutely premise, or you can be certain its truth value. In the term of not psychologically certain, epistemologically certain, because like let's say like the classic example of a syllogism is like it's all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is immortal. Well, where do you get that premise from? That the major premise that all men are mortal. Well, you do that through empirical observation, right? According to, I assume that's what Pan would say. You observe that all men die eventually. What we consider man, they die. But you can't really know that 100% just through empirical observation. You don't know 100% that every single man that's ever lived and ever will live is mortal. That has to come from somewhere. Even it's not 100% sound, or you can't know that it's 100% sound if your only metric is empirical observation, or there could be a priori truths. Which he's admitted. I'm saying that he doesn't think that there can be.
It comes down to that sort of Descartesian example that you provided, that just because one man exists in any moment doesn't necessarily mean that he will exist at the next. This can be discerned specifically through empirical observation. Only by reflection upon the own subject can we know that all men eventually die. Or analytic truth being moral. And even like a faulty deductive process, it's ignoring the fact that we have these truths based on fundamentally undeniable propositions that negate themselves by trying to negate them. These are fundamentally incontestable truths. So with that sort of knowledge, that can't be denied.
And what do you mean like assumed premises, like implicit premises? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by you can never be sure you've accounted for all the existing premises. I'm sure you can. You just look at what premises you have and then account for all of them. If you're saying you're accounting, that would be correct.
Yeah, and nor do I think that empirical verification and something like economic methodology solves that issue either. Again, because no formulation of any economic law can be based off of a specific point in like empirical verification in terms of economic formulation. Again, because it's impossible to control for these exogenous factors. But even if we go into like the actual epistemic like outlook on this on these claims. So even like analytic claims that are verbal analytic deductions that are true based off of the premises, the actual categories of the truths. So for example, the idea that a rectangle is a square. I'm sorry, that a square is a rectangle with equal sides. That is true by definition. However, the ideas of a rectangle and a square are antecedent to the actual like verbal deduction in and of themselves. So even if like even if so, it can't just to be explained by the fact that it's true because of its definitions, because the existence of these categories precede their logic, their definitional explanations. So you have to be able to know these things a priori.
Yeah, and even so, like if we have premises missing or non sequiturs, we just arrive at these conclusions, or we arrive at the correct conclusions through a rigorous course of argumentation. And these argumentations will eventually lead us to the correct truth premises as arguments stand up to scrutiny. But like with the experimental methodology, you can't necessarily confirm that you've controlled for every single factor, or like even in the natural sciences course where you can control for factors, you can't necessarily confirm that the methodological approach you've used is absolutely correct and applied to every factor of the situation. So like these approaches could be lead to false results, just as a faulty deductive process can lead to false conclusions. So even assuming this to be true, your system doesn't fix this. Rather, we could just deduce, and we can confirm this through argumentation.
Your guys' group needs to debate the PKs. Dude, I'll debate everyone, dude, on economics and just crush them all.
I mean, whatever his Seb isn't busy anymore, I'd definitely be down to debate him and MJ with Alec. That'd be a
Seb
fun
is cool.
debate.
I like Seb.
I see how it is, Quantum.
Okay, I'll start asking the real questions. Is incest a morally permissible / neutral act?
So yes, so it is. If we're talking about like under a legal structure, I would believe that it would not be something that would be illegal just by like, okay, so like if you were to take like a libertarian ethics standpoint, then no, it wouldn't be illegal. I wouldn't necessarily say it because I believe that I would not say myself that it would be immoral, or I would say myself that it would be immoral, but you have to distinguish between like legality and morality, right? So I would say it's probably an immoral act, but not necessarily something that would be like illegal because it's.
Bro, I just got a tutorial on how
Somebody's
to
calling me on Discord.
So, Craig.
Yeah.
Okay, so like a lot of people ask. Sorry, was somebody talking?
It's okay.
Okay, so like they ask all the time, like, okay, in a libertarian society, would like bestiality be illegal? Well, I mean, the answer would obviously be no. It wouldn't be illegal. It would still be like abhorrent, right? Like things can still be wrong without being illegal, right? And we can still and people can still come to these like conclusions that they shouldn't do these things. Like as like me as a virtue ethicist, I would say that would be like not a virtuous act. This motherfucker keeps calling me. And not a virtuous act, or if you're following your categorical imperative, or if you're a utilitarian or whatever. There's definitely like moral frameworks that you would base this off of. But like if you're talking about just strict like rights violations in terms of like arbitration or something like that, because that's what like the legal system would come down to, rights violations, then there would be no rights violation. Unless you conceive that animals have rights, which I would disagree with.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like immoral in the sense. I'm a moral subjectivist. I follow Ryan's view on it, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily immoral. I would say it's moral.
Can we get Ryan in here? Let's get him in here.
Oh yeah, where?
I can dunk on
He's
him.
supposed to be here. Where is he?
Wait, you're saying me and Scott need to fight because I'm Irish? I'm actually Scotch-Irish, so
So am I. you know, there's most Scottish people are like rooted in
British?
Irish,
Is that what you said? Is that what you're
from
gonna say?
the potato famine and the Highland clearances. So most Scottish people you'll find are generally Scottish and Scottish Irish.
Well, I shouldn't say, just for sake of argument here, that I'm Scotch Irish. I'm American. But my last name is Scotch Irish.
It's Slater
It's
Brown.
Slater Brown.
How do
He's
people
white.
I'm white. I'm clearly white. Is this not obvious? People actually think people thought generic was white? He's brown?
That's
Like, they were,
funny.
like, shocked?
I'm not white. Anyone who acknowledges himself as a cracker is stupid.
Your name is literally Cracker of the Ache Pole or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah, that French word? I don't like French words, dude.
No,
French
yeah, that's a group chat with all the the posty people I can escape.
Yes, Jessica.
Dude, I'm in there. That's crazy. I'm in.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a picture of Oliver? Is that who her profile picture is?
I think so. I wasn't even here for that. I'm
Zane
trying
OMG.
to-
What?
Zane OMG, hi. None of you Americans are Irish? Why would we be Irish?
Where's everybody gone? Why is nobody asking questions?
I actually think I'm 20% British.
Oh,
Or I am 20% British. Or actually British or something. I did a 23andMe, or my dad made me do it. He came to me, he was like, "Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Not really." But then he bought it for me. I'm definitely. I
Get
think I'm
Oliver on the live. I'm good.
my base idea is from 90% Britishness.
I don't know Oliver. What do you? Hey! Cut it out! Over here licking food up off my plate. Get back! Get back! Go down.
Okay, guys, let's find out where I'm from. I'm 94.3% European. That's what we call based. I'm 70% Southern European, so Spanish, Portuguese, or Portuguese. 22% Northern European. So I'm 21.2% British and Irish.
Where are you getting this from?
23andMe.
Oh, you did one of those?
Jewish? Yeah. That's something like you would do for sure. 1.6% broadly Northwestern European.
Dude, I'm not paying $90 to figure out where my ancestors are from. I don't care.
I think it was like on sale or something. I don't know. 2.5% Sub-Saharan African, 2.4% East Asian and Native American, 0.5% Western Asian and North African. Hey, well, that's basically all there is to me.
Okay, so in regards to the language learner model, the reason they hold on to that so hard is, 90% of them are just like grasping at straws to try and show that the ECP is fallible. And then from there, like, even if like so theoretically, like, say that the only way the ECP could be solved in a market would be in a market socialist society, they would still continue being regular communists, right? But just the very existence of it being refuted by a market socialist model, like, gives them peace of mind. So like they know that there's like it's like really untenable from like an actual like communist position. So they're still trying to hold on to like these market socialist positions in order to try and solve it. So that they can go about their day. But it's not like they would even like become market socialists. They would just like continue being regular commies, but they would say, like, in regards to the ECP, they would like just bring up like the Lance Lerner model. It's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. I literally had like an ANCOM try and use the Lange Lerner model, and I'm like, dude, you're an ANCOM. Did Craig win the wall of text? I mean, Reagan wasn't even really talking about the ECP anymore, to be honest. I didn't really read much of it, but like he, in his very first video, he said that Austrian economics relies on more Raysian price equilibrium, which is simply not true. Even Mises specifically said that like economic calculation isn't perfect in capitalism, and that prices are just a measuring stick. So it's just a roundabout. Like we can know with at least a reasonable amount of certainty, predicting future conditions about what goods will satisfy consumer wants and things such as that. But it's by no means like an objective standard
Yeah,
of
no,
like an equilibrium price.
after my first response, it kind of moved on more to the knowledge problem and the Lang model, which was it kind of just moved to the position of why will worker democracies lead to price inefficiencies? That's what the main discussion was around. It wasn't really about the ECP. It never really was, but it kind of just got to that sort of point where it was no longer about that discussion. But he did respond, and I have to respond again, which is going to take from like another 10 parts. But
The only thing I don't like about getting used books is when they're already annotated and it's in pen.
Well, you don't like? Oh, dude, I love that. Oh, well, I guess when it's in pen, I don't like. I don't annotate my book though, so that's why I like it. I like seeing what like other people wrote about it.
I
especially if it's really
highlight,
old.
and if I can't highlight, I'll write stuff in. So, but I don't typically write in my books, but I will highlight. Yes, Jessica, you're a real one. You're my main simp. I'll remember you forever. Even once I become one with the ultimate reality.
There we go. That's the goal. 4 years today. Rate the drip.
Where did you get used? But okay, so I have a local bookstore. That's there's a few local used bookstores, but also thriftbooks.com. And then what's that place you recommended me?
Abe Books. ABE.
Abe.
Books.
Abe
yeah,
Books.
That's the best place. That also has like the thrift books. Their shipping, their manufacturing for books. That's also on Abe Books too.
Oh, okay. So just go to Abe Books.
no, yeah, they're good. I found a copy of Money, Bank Credit, and Economic Cycles for like 20 on there. It was really
If you don't mind used books, then go there.
The amount of stuff we get strawman for. Dude, literally, somebody was like, they said that essentially that praxeology was a study of human behavior and that it's complete nonsense. And then so he was essentially taking like a quote unquote psychology or psychoanalytic debunk of praxeology. And somebody was like, I think it was Craig, was like, why don't you read the first literal 2 pages of Human Action? And he said, buy me the book and I will. And Craig sent him a link to it for free. And somebody said, free? That's not very libertarian of you. And I'm like, oh my God.
Libertarianism is about making money. That's what it's about.
Libertarianism is when no free stuff.
yeah.
Libertarianism is when people don't. Never mind. It's just, I don't know. It's just the dumbest thing ever.
Bro, I'm just waiting for Haseeb to post this video on praxeology because I'm done going back and forth with Marxists like Finn and Evan on praxeology. Like, I am so fucking done with it. I never want to hear the death drive ever again. It is annoying as shit.
I remember Evan asked me my justification for capitalism.
Not only that, but it's really funny because like Freud isn't even taken seriously in modern. Not to make an appeal to authority.
Yeah, obviously that means nothing, but it means something. But it means nothing. I wouldn't say it means anything. Like
I wouldn't say it
whenever-
necessarily means anything.
right? Yeah, sure. You could say in this case it means something, but I mean I don't know enough to say that. But obviously, yeah. Like if you critique Ayn Rand by saying nobody takes you seriously, that's a horrible critique. You should be castrated and hung out to dry.
But I mean, validly so.
Yeah, you could say they're not taken serious for good reasons, but not that. That's a good reason to not take her seriously.
The only thing I don't like about philosophy books is a lot of them are in like these collections, like the Hackett Classics. So like they have like the same like look to them. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And then you have like the Cambridge ones, and all the Cambridge one they this really ugly blue.
Yeah.
Like I have like 3 of these Cambridge books. I have Rousseau, Thomas Hobbes, and like one other on the way, and they're all like the same really ugly Cambridge print.
Yeah. Dude, that's why old books are so much better. Old books are so much better. Especially, I mean, hardcovers. Obviously, it can be a lot more expensive.
I'm not a
I
big
go to
hardcover
that-
guy myself.
I love hardcover. Like the feeling of like
What'd
any
you say?
old book. Like this, I don't know. It's just it. I don't know. One, it's also better quality because they didn't mass produce like they do now. Like mass produced paperbacks are the quality is garbage. I mean, better
Oh yeah,
quality-
the mass market paperbacks.
yeah. Although sometimes those are.
This is the only Plato book I have that's not in like my massive Plato collection, and it's 2 dialogues, Ion and Hippias Major. I still haven't read it though. Yeah.
I like hardcovers, but like the only hardcover I actually own is Theory of Money and Credit, and that is like probably my least favorite book that I have.
So I like hardcovers. I just don't like reading hardcovers.
I like reading hardcovers when they're not incomprehensible.
Yes, Jessica.
Bro, why will no one come on here and debate?
I told every single one of you people. I said you're gonna have to read Theory of Money and Credit twice. I said that. I've been saying it for weeks.
I'm not reading it twice. Fuck that. I can barely even take reading a goddamn page of this shit. I am not reading.
Thoughts on Pan?
Pan's cool.
I like that. Pan fucking sucks at Among Us though. For being honest, like you're garbage, man. I don't know if you're still. I'm so much better. I'm the best one in that server. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm not. I'm probably the worst player among us.
You have to play with us, right? You've never. Do you? Have you ever played?
Like my computer is too slow to actually run the thing.
Just do it on your phone. I don't even play on my computer. I can't. It's
Yeah.
too slow.
I play on my phone, but the issue is I'm in a different country, so I have to play on like 148 ping, which then
No.
keeps disconnecting me from the server, and I don't even know how to play. I played it like 3 times.
Bro, I'm sure you.
Wait,
could.
so I have it, but I haven't actually read it. I have crawl marks in the close of his system. Is Bombawork's critique actually bad, or are the Marxists just coping?
I don't know, because like I had a lot of like I know a lot of them meme it a lot, and I know Finn has like a big reputation to it, but I don't think it's as bad as they make it out to be. But I also don't think like the contradiction shit that he went into a lot is really relevant whatsoever.
The transformation problem?
Yeah, I don't think it's like hugely relevant, to be honest. I think if anything, his best approach is really exploitation theory. I think that's like almost untouchable. But I would still recommend reading it. But like I'm still going through it because Bumbleworks books are so awkward to read because there's so many goddamn words on the one page that it's like Positive Theory of Capital probably has like 5 pages stuffed into one, and it's really hard to read.
Plus, it was written in German.
Yeah.
Yo, Craig, did you see the leftist group chat that I got put into on Snapchat?
Hold on, let me check it.
Like 2 hours ago. What happened?
Wait, which one? There's like 3.
The Neo.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Oh, hey. Bro, your Bitmoji looks so cute, man.
Okay, wait, where?
And you have the mask on? Dude, that's so responsible.
How far am I going back here? Where am I looking?
Was that like 6:30?
.6:30 as in my time, or
Oh no, my time. Eastern.
oh god, okay. We're just talking about Madison beer.
No, but scroll up to what started the conversation.
Okay.
It's a screenshot from Finn.
What? Yo,
Wait, what does it say? What does it say? Somebody send this to me.
I'll send it to you.
Please do.
No, that is no. What?
That's insane. I sent it to you. Insane.
No, what the fuck?
No, my God.
Bro.
I hate life. I hate life, dude. Why is it so unfair? Why is it so unfair?
Bro.
All right,
Why is
our
life
chat is
unfair?
dying. Should we
That is true.
end up the stream? It's been 2 hours.
That is true. It has been. I feel like it's been a good first stream.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
definitely.
Once we
We
get
need
more
some-
people, like if we do debates or something, and we get more subscribers and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we should also like post videos and stuff.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, but we hadn't.
Jessica. Yeah. So Madison Beer followed Finn, and she DM'd him first.
Yeah, dude, I'm actually she downed me too. I just can't prove it, but it happened for sure.
It happened. It was just off cameras.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous, dude. Why does Madison Beer not follow Librite Hype Corp, dude?
Bro.
I'm adding her. I'm
Get
adding
her on.
you in all of the videos. Don't worry.
Wait, yeah, literally, I want all of my followers and every single one of my videos from now on to just spam at Madison Beer. I will not be satisfied until Madison Beer is following me.
Okay. I'm going on your recent doing that.
Because Madison Beer is a commie? Is she really? What's a placebo?
She's not a fucking commie, dude.
Nah,
She's
bro.
I mean, she might be. She's following Finn now, dude.
Dude, she's. You know how many people follow Finn that aren't communist? Dude? They're just
So-
like, oh, Finn's cute, which is true, man. That's why I'll follow him.
Okay, but what if I just like disappear from the internet for like 3 weeks and work on like the ultimate defense for anarcho-capitalism, and then ask Finn for his password and post it on the account and tag Madison Beer?
Yeah, and then she would get so.
Yeah, she DM'd him.
She just said like, hey, like, how are you? Or hi, how are you?
Yeah, but still, dude, Madison
No.
Beer
He said like, what did he say?
hit you up first.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Oh, what did Madison DM Finn? She said like, hey, how are you?
She didn't say, oh my. First of all, it's illegal. I don't know if she's gonna.
Yeah, she's like
Like,
19,
get
by
at
the way.
him,
Or
but- Yeah, she's 22. She's not trying to like get at him. So,
Oh wait, the only person, like somewhat famous person I know. Do you guys know Trevor Wallace, like the YouTube comedian,
yeah,
and like Churdley's?
I don't know the second thing, but
Churdley's, he's like one of like he's always in Trevor Wallace's videos. Well, anyways, I was on Omegle one time, and I ran into this girl who I didn't recognize at the moment, and we talked literally for like 2 hours. Anyway, she gave me her Snapchat and then her Instagram. I follow her on Instagram. I go to her Instagram. She has like 100,000 followers. I was like, "What's this?" Come to find out, she's like Churdley's girlfriend and is in a bunch of like her and like him and Trevor Wallace's like YouTube videos.
yeah, Trevor Wallace is my friend. Like I know him.
Yeah, I
My
know
dad actually owns Microsoft.
I've talked to Walter Block on email. I know famous people.
Walter Block is what I think of when I think of a famous person.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, like me fangirling over talking to Bob Murphy in the Discord the other day.
Apparently, Cockshot's supposed to like do a thing with Corvated server.
Bruh.
So I know you guys are excited for that.
Like, if I tried hard enough, do you think I'd get a debate with him?
With Cockshot? No. Just don't debate a kid. I mean, I think he debated.
He has everything to lose.
Yeah, true.
Everyone should be jealous of Finn, to be honest. I'm jealous of the position as he's in. I'm not jealous of him specifically.
Imagine not being Finn, crying till I'm laughing.
I don't have to imagine I'm better than Finn.
Got him. Roasted him. Let's do it. Me and Zane. versus
The same Bob Murphy that could take pure. Yeah, not all Missessians follow the pure time preference theory. That's the cool thing about Austrian econ is we don't all have to agree with each other on everything.
No, we just agree with each other on nothing.
He's 6'4", that's enough. He's 6'4", that's enough.
That is true. He is really tall.
I was
I
surprised.
kind of want to get height implants. I kind of want to be tall.
I'm 6'7", so it's not good for me.
Oh my god, who do we
Imagine the Madison Beer following you. Yeah, like she's the only one of like the actual like really famous TikTokers that I think is hot. Like I don't think Addison Rae is hot. Dixie D'Amelio is pretty. She's pretty cute. If we're talking about like adults here, Dixie D'Amelio is
Why
pretty
would we be
cute.
talking about anything else besides Zane?
Hmm?
Do you have a lot of children you think are attractive, Zane?
No. I was just clarifying that I wasn't going to mention like,
Right, yeah.
Charlie or anything because she's like 16.
Yeah. Okay, whatever.
He says he's bad at basketball, so we should height. Yeah. I mean, my brothers are 6'3", so they should give me some of their height.
Damn, you missed it, man. That's messed up.
I mean,
Blame your
at
parents.
least you look taller than you are, I guess. Like
Everybody tells me I look tall. Let me go stand next to my door for you guys.
Yeah, I didn't know you were as short as you are when you're old. I assumed you were tall. Oh, yeah. This man is short as hell.
bro, you look so much taller. What the?
Bro, and you see the 3D printer there? Ready for
I've got my
war?
in front of me.
Is that one of your posters? Is that one of your posters behind you? Zane?
Yeah,
Is that one of your posters behind you?
2 of them.
Oh,
They're
you
not
know-
posters, by the way. They're tapestries.
Okay, man.
Yeah, no,
I wrote that. I drew those posters, tapestries. So.
it's really annoying because I'm 5'10", but I look like I'm 5'2". It's really irritating.
Yeah, you do look 5. No, you're 5'2" from that one.
Yeah, I thought Craig was short until I saw that video of him dancing. Then I was like, oh, he's kind of got long legs.
Hey, mamas. Okay.
Craig, can you dance for us again?
Can I walk?
You dance on tonight, we'll get 1 million views. I think I heard that.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
Yo, petition to get Craig a webcam and good internet. Yo, Craig, why are you
don't
poor,
mind.
bro?
Because
Yo, let's be classist right now. You fucking Craig, you.
like I'm Scottish and a capitalist. It's called a Marxist and Americans who are rich.
How tall is like I'm 5'8" or 5'9", whatever. This is
Someone
bad
that what
basketball.
now? What?
What was that?
Why?
What, someone made an editor?
Yo, Jessica, would you like to make a Zane fan page? I really need to have a fan page. I can't like die without one.
I have a fan page already. It's really, I'm really cool, I guess. I think. And that's what it's called.
Everyone just takes my.
I mean, I have one, but the person never posts anymore. Okoda wants to say hey.
Hey to me
Sit.
specifically. Yeah.
Sit. Hey, sit. Sit. Good boy.
Okay, who do I invite on here to make this a little more interesting?
I figured we were about to just call it a night.
I also figured that, but if you get Blake,
If you get Madison Beer in here, I'll stay. Dude, I need to lose some weight. I haven't been working out because of quarantine. I'm getting kind of fat.
Bro, I'm grossly underweight. It's actually not that.
Yeah.
Say something edgy. I really don't like black people.
Dude, I was gonna say the same thing. I didn't get first. Oh, drop my headphone. But yeah, we're changing our whole thing to we're not like terrorism. We just don't like black people. That's
Yeah.
why we want private cities, so we can.
It's anti-Black Haven.
God.
Yeah.
That's not edgy. That's
And
just
Craig
racism.
agreed. You guys see that?
Wait, dude, what is
Cancel.
edginess? I thought racism was edgy.
Racism's edgy, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not edgy. That's just racism. Okay.
Same thing.
You want to substantiate that claim?
No. Okay, I'm gonna send this link and see if anybody joins, but I doubt it. This is literally a debate chat. Why the hell is nobody joining?
That's like saying I hate gay people. Yeah, I do hate gay people.
Saying slurs? Oh, she wants us to say slurs.
Oh, okay. Which slurs do you want us to say?
Oh God.
Craig's gonna leave.
Dude, I've been trying to get canceled for so long now.
Bro, I'm too optical for this account.
You're too optical for Zane. It's weird though, because leftists like Zane. But he's so
Yeah, the
rich.
leftists love
Same.
me, dude. Like I'm friends with all the leftists. Absolutely. Inward. So okay.
Oh God.
I mean, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not that unoptical. I mean, I would say the F slur if I wasn't on a group YouTube right now. Like if I was on my personal, I would.
Bro, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I don't see that as a slur personally. Or if it is, not a bad one.
Bro, if I get cancelled by association, I'm gonna kill myself.
Oh boy. Sit.
Alright, I don't think anyone's gonna join, man. They're all bitch.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, nobody's
I think. Yo, Jessica. Oh, you can't be saying that, dog.
Bro. Jesus.
No anti-Semitism allowed. I mean, I don't mind.
Oh,
All right, I think we're gonna end it, boys.
Alright.
yeah.
Oh, Wes just showed up. I guess we'll stay for a few minutes to say hey to Wes. How are you, Wes?
We were
I was just
how much
talking about how
we hate
communists
black
are
people
subhuman.
and leftists. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I mean, black people are inherently leftist, so.
That's a fact. I read that somewhere.
I think I read that in Han Terman Hoppa book, bro. You know, everything he says is facts.
He said that freedom means racism. I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it was in White Right and Libertarianism.
White, right, and liberty. That's my favorite. I wrote that. I wrote the forwards to that book actually.
Oh, base.
Voluntaryist or something.
Floored by Bruno?
Hey man, that's not nice. You call it subhuman.
Bro, voluntaries are subhuman? Yo, so, okay. And
That violated the anarchy.
Yeah,
literally
that was,
sent the StreamYard link to a group chat that we're both in. Why didn't you just join the StreamYard? Why did you go to the comments? The fuck?
Yeah, Weston, come on. Get here. I'll debate you. Dude, they can't talk. I'll debate you on capitalism.
God.
It'll be me versus you. And I'll definitely win. I'm down to lose a debate with you, Weston, right now.
Yes, Jessica.
She's gonna ask you to say a slur.
I don't know what emojis mean.
Okay.
There's only one slur that I can say, which is McNugget, because it's a slur for Scottish people. So there you go, unorthodox slur.
I can't have math class Zoom in like 5 minutes.
All right, we're ending this. This is
Wes is
scratching my
dodging
brain
the
cells.
monkey man. Just letting you know.
All right. I'm ending the stream. All right, y'all have a good night.
See everyone.